Hey folks, so this next assignment is due September 30th. By midnight September 30th, please submit it in PDF on Canvas. In PDF, please. September 30th, end of the day. What you're going to do is, well, I'll give you a little bit more description first. I'll give you a topical discussion first, and then tell you the details of what you're going to do. If you go back to Bring the Funny, and you go to page 113, okay, you'll see there's a chapter there called The Juggling Act. It's followed by one called Gapping. Okay, read those two chapters. That'll take you from 113 to about 124, the top of 124. So it's really only 9 really thin, sparse pages. Okay, and half of that is a diagram of the movie We're the Millers. Okay, the whole point of that discussion is to get you thinking. I mean, you're already able to, if you've done the diagrams, which everybody has, you're already able to separate the scenes and see that each scene is like its own little mini story. In scene 1, Greg goes to the store and tries to buy paper towels. But he fails because they're not selling them today, and he gets in an argument with the clerk. Okay, in scene 2, Greg, tries to steal paper towels from his neighbor, right? You would capitalize steals, right? But can't get them because the neighbor has an alarm system. In scene 3, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So that would be in a story if Greg was the only protagonist. But in Modern Family, there could be as many as 6 or 7 protagonists per episode. Okay? What I want you to do is identify, and you've already started doing this in your diagrams, who's driving each scene. And then who's driving that story. So if you have a story, let's say, if you have an episode where over the course of the episode, they've stretched 3 scenes in which Claire is trying to get a new job. Maybe she's researching new jobs in scene 1, then we catch up with her again 10 pages later, and she's on a job interview, and she doesn't get it. Then maybe 3 pages later, she's arguing with her dad, Jay, who wants her to come back to the old company, her old job, where she works for him. And then maybe in scene 4, she's getting a new job at Texaco, or Exxon, or whatever, Coca-Cola, I don't care. That would be a 4-scene storyline that would be woven into what might be 20 scenes of the episode. But only 4 scenes of that episode would really be about Claire pursuing that storyline. Does that make sense? Okay. I would call that, I made that one up, I would call that storyline A. Claire's job thing, where she's trying to get a new job, right, or a better career, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to track storylines. Storyline B in the episode that I'm dreaming up might be that Mitch is looking for a clever way to celebrate his anniversary with Cam, right? And it's a secret, and he's very uptight and wants to keep it a secret, right? And so maybe he discusses that with his dad in scene 1, maybe in scene 2, 5 pages later, he's trying to buy him something at the store, but he fails, or they don't have it, or something makes him frustrated there, and there's some comedy. Maybe scene 3 is he's discovering what his husband really wants for the anniversary, which surprises him, and in scene 4, he has it for him. Okay, he's bought it for him, and we're catching up with them at the anniversary dinner, let's say. That would be a 4-scene storyline. You could call that B1, B2, B3, and B4, in which Cam is the one, or I think I said Mitch, is the one driving the story, trying to accomplish someone. He's the protagonist, right? And if you were going to weave that in, that's going to keep ringing, I'm sorry. I apologize. If you were going to weave that in to the episode, and you only had 2 storylines in that episode, it might be A1, B1. Claire's story, Mitch's story. Claire's story, Mitch's story. A1, B1. A2, B2. A3, B3. You get the idea? That's how they weave storylines. And when they want to edit them or change one, which they do all the time, they change them multiple rewrites before it ever gets to the day of shooting. They might say, let's just look at Claire's. Let's pull out her 3 scenes and let's change scene 2 and scene 3. Change them and then slip them back in. Okay, almost as if you had 15 or 20 index cards on a big table, which is actually what is often done in Hollywood. They use index cards. It's kind of old school, but they still do it. and people would just write what happens in each scene, and they move them around. You might actually reverse 2 scenes. Maybe Claire should do this first, and you move it around. You move around your storyline. Okay, so when you get the basic idea of what I'm saying, I hope. If not, email me, depaulg@newschool.edu. When you go back to Bring the Funny, you'll see that I've used that system on the movie We're the Millers. And I've identified 4 major storylines in We're the Millers. David's story, Rosa's story, Kenny's and Casey's story. And then I tell you which one happens. It's like A, B. In the 4th scene, A and B happen. The 2 storylines are touched on. In the 5th scene, it's A again, then it's AC. You see what I'm saying? So we're tracking each storyline. Now this is a 90-minute movie with more scenes than you're going to have in the one you're going to do. You're going to track the storylines, identify and track the storylines for the script Changes, which is another Modern Family script. I think it's like episode 3. You haven't read it yet. Read Changes. Don't watch it. It won't make any difference to watch it. Read Changes. Diagram it in a way that tracks the storylines the way I did it for We're the Millers. We're the Millers is your example. Apply the same standard. Now you might say, well, gosh, there's 10 characters. Do I got to track them all? No. No. In fact, you're going to find that about maybe 3, 4, or 5 of them have major storylines in the episode. Okay? You may also find what I would call like a partner storyline where, let's say, Mitch and Cam are doing everything together, almost acting as one person in some way. You know, so Mitch and Cam argue about where to go on vacation. Mitch and Cam, go to the airport and get an argument there. Mitch and Cam come home and and this happens and they realize they really want to go to the pool. And then Mitch and Cam are at the pool. If 2 characters are in every time, you could just put them in together, right? Storyline C is Mitch and Cam. And then we're just going to follow, and you're going to say each time it comes up, if they're in each one, you're going to say Mitch and Cam do this, Mitch and Cam do that. So you're writing a diagram. Within each scene, you're going to say, Claire tries to blank, by capitalizing the action. Okay, you don't need to use despite and but at this time to keep it simple. Still capitalize your actions, but break it up so I can see that you understand the different storylines and you're tracking them. Now, if you have a situation where a character like maybe Manny doesn't have much going on in that episode, he's just coming in and out making the occasional joke, you can basically ignore him if he's not taking a major action. Okay? If somebody's action within a scene if it's not a major storyline action, you can note it. Scene 5, C3 might be Greg does this, and his son makes a joke. His son trips and falls. I mean, you could cut the small, insignificant stuff. I want you to identify the storylines of 3, 4, or 5 characters. In other words, there's probably going to be 4 or 5 at most characters who are really pursuing major actions that stretch throughout the story. Identify their storylines, break them up into A, B, C, and D. When they happen at the same time, like in a master scene, which you've read about in here, then you put that. You put like A/B/B/C, ABC, and you put the whole family's at dinner, and this guy's trying to do that, and this person's trying to do that. Get it? So I see that all 3 storylines are happening in one major scene, like in a master scene. Okay? You'll struggle with it a little bit, but that's kind of what you should do. That's the point of the exercise. You're not going to be able to do this in an hour. It should take you more like 2 to 3 hours. Okay? And again, here's your master guide. Your example is what I did with the movie We're the Millers, which is going to be longer than yours because it's a 90-page movie and you're diagramming a 30-page sitcom script called Changes, the Modern Family Changes script. You're going to diagram it, but also break it into storylines that you identify. Okay? For the September 30th end of day, submit it in PDF. Any questions to paulg@newschool.edu. Okay, thanks.